Why do you think dating has become so hard in this new day and age? Because men won't evolve. For the bulk of history, men have subjugated women, and therefore women have relied on men primarily for survival, which means a lot of our ancestors settled for mediocre men they didn't actually love. They did whatever they had to do to survive in the hopes that their offspring would grow up and have better choices. Only in recent years have women had better choices because they can participate in capitalism. Remember, women haven't always had the power to vote, especially Black women in this country. And women weren't even allowed to have their own bank accounts until like the 70s or open a credit card. Now that we have our own money and our own resources for survival, we no longer need men, which is why so many women that would otherwise, in another point of history, settle for these mediocre men no longer have to. Because men have never been the prize. They used violence throughout history to make us think so.
I really like what she said, and then I thought about it, and I wanted to expand on this point, or this conversation in general, right? If we break it down to the basic level, in the animal kingdom, any female of said group will most of the time go for the strongest, the fastest, the leader, the head people so that they can breed and breed out better and better people for the next generation because they want those qualities inside of the generation below them. We did it with fruit. We did it with food. We did it with almost anything that we had. We wanted something better, so we picked certain qualities from this genetic and this genetic and this genetic and made it better and better and better offspring, and to the point where we have a fully juicy watermelon. Google it. These is how the watermelon started. You know what I'm saying? And then now we have these fully juicy watermelons. It used to not be juicy. It used to be all the white part. So in the animal kingdom, good genetic code is passed, with the exception of the big species groups of animals. That's how good genetic code is passed, with the exception of the animal kingdom that just takes it. There's a bunch of species and groups of animals that just forcefully take their partners. Roosters are actually one of them. Horses are on the other side of the spectrum. If any horse that is weak, timid, just cannot take control, tries to get on top of a mare, she will not hesitate to fuck him up immediately. They probably all gang stump that dude. It's ridiculous. They only take for the leader. So that means a man to the leadership caliber would be the prize. The man is the prize. But there are so many not prize men that makes it so that the value of the people that have to choose from the not so prizy people don't get the person that they would be going for as in the prize. They have to go down, date down. And with the plethora upon plethora of dating apps, so that means nobody has to settle. But that also means nobody's going to settle. So dating is hard because we have so many options.
Okay, now that we've got all the way through that, we're gonna go through it point by point. May look at some comments. I'll touch on the guy's reaction, but I really don't understand half of it or get where he's going with it. But let's go ahead and get into it.
Why do you think dating has become so hard in this new day and age?
I really hate when people ask the question and they know that they know the answer. They know the answer now. Dating is hard because people want things they can't have. It's that simple. And then even when you get down to where her point or his point, her point is we don't have to be forced to. Therefore, which is a stupid response. Dating is hard because we're not forced to take mediocre guys. Therefore, you can't make your mind up. That's stupid. I hate the question today.
Because men won't evolve.
Into what? They keep people. This is like the third time I've heard this, but won't evolve into what? The goofy shit you want us to evolve into? Because later on they say they don't need men, but let a nigga not pay his child support, they ain't gonna send women to his door. So when people say, I remember the first time I heard this was a guy named Ace Metaphor said men won't evolve, they just want to go to work, pay half the bills, and still sit at home and just kick their feet up and be treated like kings. And it's like, no. There are a bunch of dudes who say, no, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to, put in this and put in that. But yet, that doesn't make them attractive to women. According to women themselves, that only makes those guys attractive when they're like 45. So what do you mean men won't evolve? Into what? The very same things you go for after you're 40? Stop lying. It's frustrating to always come across this, whether you want to or not, and people just keep lying. Having the same dishonest conversation time and time and time again.
Bulk of history, men have subjugated women, and therefore women have relied on men primarily for survival.
Okay, let's go look at the exact definition of subjugated. To bring under control and governance as a subject, to make submissive. So, slavery. So, as you know, now we're talking about women no longer being slaves. So, what was their civil war? Who fought in theirs? Because we know non-slaves fought for freeing slaves. So, who fought for freeing women? Who did that? Or did men just kind of go, fuck it, let's give it to them? Which sounds incredibly dumb when people fucking enslaved you.
Sisters settled for mediocre men they didn't actually love.
And this is the most annoying part about these conversations, is people always make it seem as if women were the ones who, in this past time they're talking about, were the ones who had to settle for a mediocre partner that they didn't like. Dude, there was no fucking Domino's delivery back then. We didn't have all the assistance we have today. We didn't have, when dudes list off the shit that they say that they can buy instead of getting married, they didn't have that shit back then. So if you wanted to get your rocks off or have domestic chores done, what did you have to do? Take in some ungrateful ass chick who didn't appreciate shit? Where's our sympathy for having to do that? Where's our sympathy for having to provide for somebody who didn't care for us? Where the fuck is our sympathy? This idea that every guy back then was just ruling the fucking world. Please stop. Stop with the nonsense, Joe. And then another thing is that I hear often. I remember hearing Riley's shit. I might have used this example before, I'm not sure. But I remember he had Alan Roger Curry on, and they were talking about today's system versus yesterday's systems in regards to mating and everything. And Curry said that he preferred today because back then fathers used to, bully their daughters into marrying, a guy that they didn't want. And it's like, boo fucking who? So today, where guys commit suicide, what 90% of the suicide or something like that? We all want to make fun of, say, incels are the ones for the mass shooters and whatnot. But so it's like men's mental health is taking a fucking crash because they apparently aren't getting something that they need. Where the fuck is our sympathy? No, but we're supposed to still care the same, help you the same. Bullshit. And then the daughter, first of all, him bullying his daughter to marry a certain guy. Well, guess back then in a day and age where you didn't have all these forced social programs. If you picked the wrong guy, guess who you ran back to? Daddy. So he had to work double time to help you with yours after already raising his. But he's not supposed to get a say. And fast forward today, where he's not supposed to try to force you a certain way or prep you to be a certain type of person for a certain type of guy. You're supposed to pick freely, and he's still supposed to walk you down the aisle and give you a way, but in like a nicer urban way. And then when the shit falls apart, if need be, he's supposed to be there to just catch you. Fuck that. Take all the bad shit away that you didn't like, but keep all the good shit. Fuck that. And we still, to this day, still have to be the guy that just helps you through these social programs. If y'all want to talk all this shit, remove those programs and see how it works out. Since you don't fucking need us.
They did whatever they had to do to survive in the hopes that their offspring would grow up and have better choices.
As opposed to today where you do whatever the fuck you want and just, throw it in a dumpster if you don't like it, or go to some guy who perform a medical brain scrambling if you don't like it, right? That's true evolution on your behalf. True evolution.
Only in recent years have women had better choices because they can participate in capitalism. Remember, women.
If you have better choices now, why would it be harder to date? Why would it be harder if you have better choices? Smart ass? Why would it be harder? God.
Haven't always had the power to vote, especially black women.
Okay, this is kind of irrelevant, but I need to say this. Voting is not supposed to just be a right. It's not. Because when you just give people the right, general people who are just born the right to vote, you get people like we have today who say, I want welfare. Well, it takes money to give welfare. You don't have any money. Yeah, so I just want you to take the welfare from someone else and then give it to me. I vote for that. Like, that's what you get when you just make voting a right. Voting should not be a general right. You should have to earn it. But again, that's kind of irrelevant. Wanted to vent that out.
This country, and women weren't even allowed to have their own bank accounts until like the 70s, or open a credit card.
I would like for people to cite these laws that were preventing women from doing this shit, or was it simply because of the way people had to go about their lives, women just weren't opening bank accounts or credit cards because it would kind of be a waste of time if you were in a family and a family had one bank account. I would like to see the actual laws when people bring this stuff up to say, look, men said they don't want women to have bank accounts. I would like to see that. And a credit card, really, the ability to we didn't have the ability to go into debt. Like, come on, yo.
Now that we have our own money and our own resources for survival, we no longer need men.
You do realize that we still have quotas that says a job must have X amount of, women, gays, blacks, etc. When those are gone, and I mean all of them, the ones for blacks coming from a black guy, I want all those gone. If you can talk the shit, prove it. Get rid of it. And if you don't need us, and you know what, and I'll do you a solid. I won't say let's get rid of social programs, but I will say let's have it to where you only can draw from the group of people who you are. Meaning, if you don't feel like, black people don't feel like they need white people, you can only draw welfare that comes from other black people. You don't think women need men? You can only draw from welfare that comes from other women. Let's see how it works out. Prove your shit.
Which is why so many women that would otherwise, in another point of history, settle for these mediocre men no longer have to. Because men have never...
Or maybe they're mediocre themselves. Dude, why is it just an insane thought that maybe just as many men are mediocre that women are mediocre? Why is that an insane thought? Can you not just admit that there are a lot of mediocre women as well? What the fuck? Damn.
Been the prize. They used violence throughout history to make us think so.
I really like what
I'm assuming this violence is domestic violence. And my problem with that is, of course, they're only going to focus on the times or situations where the woman was forced in those situations. But if that was the case, if mass men did control women with violence, how on earth did you even get to the point you are now? Why wouldn't those same men say, bitch, no, y'all still gonna stay in the kitchen? Why would men then let you out if their life is so great? Why? I don't understand. So we were just dominating you and we just let you go just because? I don't understand that. If we had sympathy, doesn't that mean we did evolve? Of course, it's just simply you guys just fought back, and then that's what happened. Magically, you decided to just fight back, and that's what happened. Cool beans.
He said, and then I thought about it, and I wanted to expand on this point, or this conversation in general, right? If we break it down to the basic level, in the animal kingdom, any female of said group will most of the time go for the strongest, the fastest, the leader.
Here's the problem I have when I'm going to the animal kingdom. People will accept this because, of course, it's about the women's struggle in the dating market. But as it's been said on the internet plenty of times, if a female animal like a lion or something goes and gets with another lion, that lion is like, fuck no, your kids aren't coming, and then she kills the kids. Are we going to keep this across the board, or just simply go, oh, here's proof for just one side of the argument, or just use these lions? And then what happened to, but humans aren't something that isn't human? What happened to that? He can use fruit, but when Patrice O'Neal used dogs, oh, that's not okay because we aren't dogs. He can use fruit, but when we use cars, oh, you can't use that because women aren't cars. But I guess y'all are watermelons, right? Which would mean we have to take you from your horrible state that you were before and make you to these fully juicy watermelons, right? Great, good to know.
The head people, so that they can breed and breed out better and better people for the next generation, because they want those qualities inside of the generation below them. We did it with fruit. We did it with food. We did it with almost anything that we had.
This is a very, I don't get this point, because we bred to have certain traits. Okay. I'm assuming you're talking about the height, strength, etc., right? Okay. So, are we doing that also with women now? Did we ever do that with women? And would you then see the point where men controlled shit? You actually prove history to be actually correct. You understand? No, it's just me being a woman hater.
We wanted something better, so we picked certain qualities from this genetic and this genetic and this genetic and made it better and better and better offspring, and to the point where we have a fully juicy watermelon. Google it. These is how the watermelon started. You know what I'm saying? And then now we have these fully juicy watermelons. It used to not be juicy. It used to all be the white part. So in the animal kingdom, good genetic code is passed, with the exception of the big species groups of animals. That's how good genetic code is passed, with the exception of the animal kingdom that just takes it. There's a bunch of species and groups of animals that just forcefully take their partners.
How are you going to say that it's not good genetic coding? They live within a species that doesn't do the human shit, which is the whole empathy nonsense. They do we're going to fucking just rule this shit over. Shut up. It's our way. Shut up. Why would you then input empathy with that and then become the loser?
Horses are actually one of them. Horses are on the other side of the spectrum. If any horse that is weak, timid, just cannot take control, tries to get on top of a mirror, she will not hesitate to fuck him up immediately. They probably all gang stump that dude. It's ridiculous. They only take for the leader. So that means a man to the leadership caliber would be the prize. The man is the prize. But there are so many not prize men that makes it so that the value of the people.
Okay, there's the problem I have with this specific point. Is he says, so many not prize men. I really hate the term prize anyway, because, a prize is owned. You can do what you want with the prize. But anyway, the problem with the whole so many not prize men, well, there are so many not prize women. Like, fine. I'll say this. I'll just bring it back to this. When we go down this route, this ridiculous route of you should just give shit. Listen, we're in a capitalist, as she said, a capitalist society. So how about situations where she's in trouble, in distress, whatever, whether you want to go the whole, something as simple as changing the tire, or something as great as about to get, mugged or, eaten by a dog. Just capitalize it, right? I capitalize my empathy. I capitalize my good deeds. I capitalize helping you. I capitalize it. You want it, you gotta pay me, and I take sexual forms of payment. That's how I do it. Is that okay? Or is it, again, we must only do it in a way that pleases the those who can't get the prize, I guess.
People that have to choose from the not so prizey people don't get the person that they would be going for, as in the prize. They have to go down, date down, and with the.
It sounds like he tried to do a really, smart ass or, funny type of, oh, she has to date down because he isn't the prize. Again, you're not, listen, because so large of the population is just the average people. Most people aren't dating up nor down. You're just dating a fucking cross. To insinuate, and it usually comes from like money. That's usually how they measure it, but that's incredibly stupid. Let's go over how. So let's say a woman who makes let's start off with a woman who makes absolutely nothing. She's staying with her parents, making nothing. Would she marry a guy who makes 50 G's? In most cases, yes. Because that to her, by default, would be an upgrade, especially if she's like 25. Give that same woman a 150K salary. Would she go with the same guy? In most cases, no. Because somehow, by default, he is no longer the prize in a scenario because the money went up, when in fact, she, without that guy, without that guy or a level of guy being with her, she will literally just go without a man. She might get dick, but she will go without an actual man. And everybody around her will have to chip in and take care of the shit. She will rely on her husband and her children. So therefore, she became the prize that had to be cared for.
Plethora upon plethora upon plethora of dating apps. So that means nobody has to settle. But that also means nobody's going to settle. So dating is hard because we have so many options.
I'll say this and this be done. Dating is hard is because everybody's delusional. Let's leave it at that. Be right, not positive. I'm out.